Hey folks, welcome once again. Yeah, hope wherever you are, the weather is good. Long sleeves now in Johannesburg, cold times, winter times, and I know some people will scoff at that because wherever they are in the summertime, it's probably cooler than it is here. But hey, not used to. Anyway, what's on my mind? That's the question. And I'll tell you, absolutely no doubt it would be the World Test Championship. And many things to ponder, I guess, when it comes to the World Test Championship. One of those things is the very concept itself and what you, what I think about it, and whether it serves the purpose that it was created for. And I guess in my mind, and this is not from the write-ups, it's kind of an interpretation of why it turned up or why it was created. And it's to try and ensure that test match cricket remains relevant and kind of retains its reputation as the format that is the pinnacle of the sport. Now, there'll be many who, in fact, I wouldn't say many, certainly not in my circles, there'll be some who might want to debate that as an issue. I'll put it out there and say, for me, and that might be a function of age and sort of how you're brought up in terms of the game, it remains the pinnacle, the one that kind of tests you differently, because each one, I believe, tests you in many ways, but just the length of it over the 5 days, and kind of get into trouble and try and extract yourself and come back or not come back as the case may be, and defy the odds, whatever. What seems quite obvious as if it's going to happen might not happen, just simply through skills, determination, grit, all of that. So it's got absolutely everything, and that's why as the game of cricket, it kind of remains, to me, and this is not an attempt to try and convince or to say to others that they shouldn't enjoy the other formats. I think they're entirely different, and each to be enjoyed as one chooses, and that's I think a good thing. Anyway, yeah, it remains the one that kind of tests you all the way through. It remains the one that has absolutely everything in terms of excitement, drama, skills, just kind of plot and twists and turns, and all of that can be enjoyed over a period of time. Of course, I'm aware that in this day and age, the age of instant gratification and the absence of time for people to kind of sit through 5 days, it's kind of difficult for a person to go all the way through one, unless you have the job that I have and some of my other colleagues have, which is to actually watch the game and call it as it unfolds. What I'd say about that also, though, is you can kind of dip in and out as you please in a test match game, and catch up with kind of what happened as the test match has gone along. So, yeah, for me, it remains the pinnacle. It was also created to give context to the various test matches that are played, and I think that's fantastic. So, 2019 to 2021, and now is the time, I guess, as India and Australia play this one in 2023, for New Zealand, who are the current champions, to hand over the baton, some might say, to see who's going to be the next champion. New Zealand, perennial, what are they, semi-finalists and finalists who, in other formats, haven't won and don't win. But that time around, you remember it, right? Where was it? Rose Bowl. Yeah, it was, right? They managed to win, beat India. India make it a second time this time. So it's a title, it's a trophy, mace, that I think every single country, test playing nation, will aspire to, if they don't aspire to it already. I think not that it is the one to have, I think it is one to have. For those that already have other titles, other trophies, they will want to add this one to it as well, so they can have the Grand Slam, so to speak. But there'll be many in India and Australia, to speak of the two, who would be desperate for India, for Australia to be World Test champions. You know, they've got the other titles and they would like this one as well. It's important. I think it's held in high regard by most, if not absolutely everyone. So as it plays out, the other thing to consider is where it's played. I said Rose Bowl, and that's a neutral venue. And as a beginning point, I suppose that's fine. But do you think that there is any credence whatsoever in thinking about moving it? So not necessarily having it in England, but naming, perhaps by vote, any number of the best grounds around the world. And this, I suppose, will be about history, in terms of which grounds are the grounds when it comes to test match cricket. Maybe voted, maybe a panel, and maybe choose 10, maybe choose 5. And there's kind of a rotation as we go on with the World Test Championships. And that would be where the finals would be played, kind of on a rotation basis, rather than a home and away scenario, or rather than a whoever won it and that's where you have to go kind of scenario. I don't know what you think. Of course, you've got to take into consideration the fact that the weather plays a big part in this, and that right now in the UK it is summer, and so to play it in June, the beginning of June, that's going to go into a whole separate subject, of course, of scheduling, and you know, when else could you have it? The other teams, you know, the countries are playing other formats at the different times. All of this stuff, something that I'm sure was kind of had as a discussion at the beginning of all of this, and middle of the year. There is IPL, which just finished, and nobody's taken that out of the calendar, and there are all these 2020 tournaments, which because of the dosh money won't be thrown out. But you got to fit things in, don't you? And you've got to work with the times as time goes on. Hey, you've got the Ashes being done before August. Why? Because of the 100. So, yeah, got to be, malleable, got to be flexible, and be able to try and fit everything in and still allow for the dynamism of just general life, culture, and the sport itself, so that kind of everything fits in. What doesn't fit in will be cut off and gone. That's generally what happens. So I'm happy about this World Test Championship. The next one, 2025, let's see who goes there, who gets there. What I would suggest, what I would throw in there, and I don't know what you think about this, is in order that it is fairer, it would be a good idea, I think, and I know that the, the Future Tours program came out, and furore, much angst, disappointment from some quarters, frustration from some quarters, anger sometimes, because there's certain nations that many would say are not playing enough test matches. Of course, that boils down to money. And as I say, I would suggest that something be done about that, so that not 2 test series, because it's not really a series, 3 tests as a minimum, that other countries be playing more. And yeah, it's hard, but in order that this then is actually about the teams that play the best test match cricket and end up being the final 2, give everybody that chance to play enough to prove that they are good enough, or that they're not, as the case may be. But yeah, that might well be a subject for another day. I like the World Test Championship. Hopefully it does continue. Who wins this one? Tell you what, neutral venue. India at the Oval, not so good. Not against England. Australia at the Oval, not so good either. Neither of these teams win generally at the Oval. Against England, though, that's when you'd play there, right? I wonder what that means for when they play against each other. In times past, I would say that Australia would have the upper hand going to the Oval, playing at what is the bounciest track in England. That would be in times past. As time has gone on, India has shown their mettle and over the years has done well, not just in India, and has had these fast bowlers turn up. Of course, there are injuries, and there are injuries on both sides. And so, as they've developed as a country, it means this really is a neutral venue. And it should be a good battle. It is unfortunate that there's some key members on either side that are injured, and so you kind of make do. But I think that's a function of the schedule, the dosh, once again, and there's not a whole lot that can be done. Which way am I leaning as it goes? I don't know. I think it genuinely is even. At first I said Australia, and I thought, yeah, they'd go, okay, form and this and that. But there's enough lack of form on the one side and lack of form on the other. So I am genuinely intrigued, and I want to see how this one plays out. I hope that the weather plays along. If I am to pick one, I would pick the fast bowlers of Australia to do damage. That's the way I would go. But I can't hang my hat on it. Yeah, it's close. Let's watch and see. Tell me what you think. I'll catch you next time. Don't forget, subscribe. Ciao for now.